This is Yanis Kaparios. This is CENV 1026 computer programming, and this is a short tutorial video for dictionaries. So we learned about lists and tuples, which are compound data types. These are ways of storing sets or collections of data. So you can store a collection of integers, a collection of floats, or a collection of strings. The dictionary is another one of those. So basically, when you denote a tuple, you use round brackets, as we're showing here. When you use square brackets, that's where you have a list. So that's a list that contains the 4 elements 1, 2, 3, 4. If we type list, that's going to tell us that it is a list. Equivalently, if we said T is 1, 2, 3, then the type of T is a tuple. A dictionary is a different type where we actually use curly brackets. So if we call it D and we use curly brackets, that's how you denote a dictionary. But the difference here is that in lists and tuples, the so-called address of an element inside the list or tuple is given by an integer index, starting from 0. So for instance, in a list, we've got a list there. We know that element number 2 is going to be number 3, because it is the third element. In dictionaries, the difference is that you can pick a special name for the address of an element. So for example, let's define a dictionary that is called ages, and then we use curly brackets, and we have a set of people's ages. So we have somebody called Roger, whose age is 21. We have somebody called Jane, whose age is 20. And we have somebody called Bill, whose age is 19. Now, for each of these elements, we have what we call a key, which is the element to the left of the colon, and we have a value, which is the element to the right of the column. And so the key is actually the equivalent of the index in lists and tuples. So it can be used to access the value. So if I type ages and then Jane, I expect to see number 20, which is Jane's age, which is the number, the value associated with a key called Jane. And just like lists, then dictionaries are also iterable, which means that we can iterate over the elements. So if I create a function here that I call def iterate dictionary, and I use D as my input dictionary, I need to add a doc script. So I want to write iterates over the elements of a dictionary, and I can use a for loop as normal, just like I've done for a list. So if I type for, I don't know why I entered another line. So for e in dictionary d dot keys, print e. So if I now compile this and I use my dictionary ages and I run iterate dictionary ages. What is that going to do is that it's going to go through the dictionary ages, it's going to focus on the keys, which are the labels on the left, and is going to iterate through these and is going to print them. And it's done just that. So it's printed Roger, Jane and Bill. So it just gives us the keys. Similarly, changing this to values, recompiling that. If I iterate again over the dictionary called ages, that is now going to iterate over the dictionary and is going to give me the values. And it's done just that. So it's given me 21, 20 and 19. Or we can actually iterate over the items and get both the keys and the values. So in this case, if I just change this to d.items, so I need to have print K and V, let's just say, for keys and values, and then print key and print value, and I compile that again. And now what I expect it to do is to go through each of the items of my dictionary and print out the key followed by the value. And it's done just that. And that concludes the short tutorial on dictionaries.